Alright, g'day guys. Today I thought I would try and answer a bit of a question that came up on the forums today as a result of a video that's basically been posted by KBS666. For anyone who hasn't seen it, he's making his own series of videos, and I think it's absolutely fantastic to see another perspective on how people use the tool, so do check them out. But the video he posted was basically how to begin in Realmworks. Where do I start? And look, honestly, it's a question that comes up quite a lot. And I loved watching his video and seeing how he approached things in a different way to how I would have done it. And that's the great thing about Realmworks is there is no right way or wrong way to do things. There's just the way we do things. And everyone's a little bit different. My approach would be quite different to the way he approached things. So I thought I'd just run through and show you my thoughts around where to begin and why I would begin that way, and sort of let you make up your own mind. So let's flick over now to Realmworks. All right, and I'm showing you from the very beginning today. So this is the screen you see after you log into the tool. I'm not going to show you logging into the tool. You don't need to see my password. But this is the first screen you come to. All right, I'm going to create a new realm. So go to the Realms tab and you can see I've got 3 already. All right, some of you would have seen the Deadly Depth in quite a bit. But what we're going to do today is create a new realm. So you just click the button. I'm going to create a specific realm for Tomb of Horrors to contain that once I get the ability to basically make replicas of my realms and extract data and stuff, which is coming in December apparently. So we'll just do that. We'll let that sync. I'm creating the Tomb of Horrors now, and now you'll see I've got a new realm. I'm going to open that realm, and we're about to see Realmworks in all its glory, as it is, fresh out of the box. All right. So you might recognize it. Yeah, you've got your categories over here, all empty. You've got your links over here, all empty. Your home page is completely blank. Your mechanics reference, completely blank. There's nothing in here. All right, and that's why we like it. So, with any sort of people who are dungeon masters, who are creating worlds and stories and putting it all together, you've probably got hundreds of thousands of ideas swimming through your head. And one of the big things that people struggle with this tool is they get it in front of them, it's a blank canvas, and they ask themselves, right, where do I start now? And I think to really answer that question, we need to show you some of the core functionality of the tool. Because the functionality in my mind, I'm very mechanical in my thinking, is the answer to how I would begin. So let's just go through and show you that. I'm going to create a place, an adventure area, call it Dirt Road. I'm going to create a person, an individual. I'm going to call him Bob. Sorry, just playing with my volume. Once Bob's in the system, I'm going to create an event. I'm going to create a scene. I'm going to call it Nightly Walk. All right, so I've got 3 things entered. All right, named things. All right, in my scene, Bob likes to go for a walk down the dirt road. This is where the power of Realmworks comes. Click Save. Boom. This window is automatically content link detection. It's going, I know Bob. Bob exists here. I want to create a link to Bob. Okay, you can do that. I know the dirt road. I want to create a link to the dirt road. That is great, because now I've got links to Bob. All right, I know Bob likes to go on a nightly walk because it's in my contact links over here. I can see he likes to go down the dirt road. All right, see it's linking in 2 places, which is really quite handy. All right, so this is fantastic because that automatic link detection is going to save you a hell of a lot of time. 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to start entering data into this tool. All right, you're going to enter things today that you're probably going to forget about 3 years from now. But once it's in this database and it's all linking together, you really have the ability to move back and forth amongst the data you're entering and really keep track of it. You can have a location and there can be, a link from the person who works in the bar in that location. And if you were to leave this for physically 2 years and come away 2 years back, with your party and your party come back into that town, you can load it up. You can load up the inn. You can have a look at who was actually working in that inn at that time because the links will still be there. All right. And I think the real big benefit of Realmworks is the fact that you're not reaching for scrabbled notes that you might have put aside in a folder 2 years ago that is crinkled and lost and there's pages missing. It's all in a database that sits on the cloud, which is protected. That is fantastic. But the linking is what I wanted to show you. The linking is the answer to the question where I begin, in my opinion. All right, it certainly helps me understand where I want to begin because I want to set up things that I want to link to all the time first, so that when I start putting information into the tool, it's ready to start grabbing those links. All right, because the way link detection works is it creates the links at time of save. So if I open up this page, it doesn't create a link. If I edit it and I type Bob and click save, that's when it creates the links. All right, so I want to create it there. But before we move on, I just want to show you something that, something I forgot about that you need to do because it's been so long since I started a new realm. Notice how every time I type Bob and click save, it brings up this little window. Some of you might be looking at, yep, that's cool, it's creating a link. There's a more efficient way to do it, because trust me, once you've been playing with this tool for a couple of years, you're going to get links detections going off everywhere on a massive page. You might have hundreds of link detections and you don't want to be playing with that window every time. So click up on Manage, Preferences, Auto Accept, and turn Auto Accept on. All right, click Done and click Back. Now, when I type Bob and Dirt Road, you see, boom, it automatically saves it. Didn't ask me or prompt me for anything, which is great. And that's much more efficient. Just so you know, if you did create duplicates, like let's create 2 Bobs. Actually, we'll call them Junior. All right. Now when I come in here and type in Bob, it does prompt me. All right, and the reason is because there's a duplication going on. There's 2 Bobs. Notice how I put in the suffix there for one of the Bobs. Use suffixes because it makes it a hell of a lot easier to remember which Bob is Bob. Containers also work really well as well. All right, but I just wanted to show you that. That's a great setting to change to sort of speed yourself up. But anyway, let's get back to where we were. You want to create links for the things that you're going to be obviously linking to a lot. All right. And for me, this tool is really broken down into 2 sort of spots. There's your world almanac, which is where you're entering sort of your world and your story. All right. Places, locations, people, groups, big events. That's all happening in here. This is your campaign world and your campaign settings. But we play these games with rules, and that is your mechanics section. All right, your mechanics is your database of rules, spells, monsters, equipment, maybe tables that you use on a regular basis. Anything that you would refer to play the game is a mechanics reference, and this is the section where it belongs. Now, keeping in mind that the aim of this game is to set up everything that you're going to link to on a regular basis. So, I always start with mechanics reference. I think this is the logical place to start because anything you put in here now is going to be automatically linked to when you do start creating your content. All right, and playing around in here is going to teach you a lot about the program, so you're prepared to better enter information over here. You're prepared to better learn about the things you can do. So come over here, and this is where you need to stop and ask yourself the question. In my opinion, this is the most important question you're going to answer. When you are DMing prior to Realmworks, sitting there at the table with all your books and your scrap pieces of paper, what were you constantly reaching for? What were those books that you were having to pull up all the time? Um, was it monsters? Was it the spell section of the player handbook? Is there a table that you constantly keep having to refer to? Is there like a definition of something that you're always needing to do? For me, it's the spell classes. I can never remember the spell classes and what they all mean and do, so I put those in here. But don't go in here and put in every rule for the sake of having every rule. All right, and the reason for that is, I know what strength is. Um, I know what dexterity is. And if I put strength into into here, then it's going to link every time strength is written over here. So don't put in too much information for the sake of having it. Unless you've just got complete OCD and you just have to do it because you have to do it. I get that. I've got OCD in me as well. Um, but it becomes more of a pain later on when you've got, a wealth of stuff in here that you don't actually ever refer to. So put the stuff that you're going to use. I would say even if you enter something here and you 6 months later decide that, you're not actually referring to that information at all, remove it to save yourself from having to make the links because it's going to make you more efficient in the long run to have just the information here that you need. So with that in mind, what was I always reaching for? I was always reaching for my monster manual. All right, so I would come in here and I would make my monster manual. All right, notice how I created a category. I like to use the folder structure of this tool to keep everything organized. So for me, I create the monster manual as a generic dangers article. Dangers is where monsters belong, by the way. You can put it anywhere, but this is where I like it. And one of the sub articles of dangers is a monster. So I'm going to come in here and put goblin. All right, then goblin will come under here. All right, now I've got a goblin. Fantastic. If I come over here, and this is why I said start with it. If I now type goblin, goblin links. So as you can imagine, if you're coming in here and you're actually copying in a large story, like let's say that you got your hands on Princes of the Apocalypse and you wanted to copy that whole story in, you want to have your mechanics section set up with all the monsters that you're going to do. All right. And one of the reasons I say this, when I start out with a new module, um, or a new adventure book, I quite often flip to the index at the back. There's usually a section on what monsters exist, what items exist, and what NPCs exist. I will usually create those first before I even think about starting the book, so that it's all there and it can all start linking. But go through and set your mechanics up. Think about what you need and what you don't need. I did personally go in here and enter spells. I entered all of them. Alright, so you can have your spells, which is fantastic. It's a good thing to have. But I found I wasn't actually using the spell descriptions from within Realmworks. I actually use Hero Lab as my encounter manager, so that the two tools synchronize together very well. You can actually transition monsters and NPCs directly from Realmworks into Hero Labs. And as you can see, the definitions for spells are already built into Hero Labs. So for me, I use Hero Lab when I'm looking up spells because I'm in Hero Lab already managing the combat in that tool. So for me, spells weren't as important. If you're just using Realmworks, by all means go ahead and enter all the spell names as well. Common rules you'd put under gameplay. One of the common ones I do is like loot table C, for example. So that way, if you've got a module that refers to loot table C, it can link to it. All right, but I guess what I'm trying to say is come in here and make the names of everything. Notice how I'm saying names. Don't come in here unless you've got bucket loads of time and create every monster from start to finish perfectly. All right. Start here with the names. I literally will pull up the index of a book, and I'll just sit there and I'll make the names of every single monster that exists in the monster manual, every single spell that exists in the book. And the reason why I do that is because it's much more efficient for me to go through and put just the names and then to walk away. All right, I save my work and then I come back to my World Almanac, and from here I start working. And I'll come in here when I'm prepping and I'll go, all right, so oh, Bob's got an ability. He's fragile. I think this is meant to be physical abilities, but he knows the spell Lightning Bolt. All right, that'll create the link. And see, what I'll do is when I'm prepping this character, is then I'll come in here and I'll click on lightning bolt, and I'll go, oh, bugger, lightning bolt's empty. That's when I'll copy it in. All right. Um, and this doesn't really apply for spells for me because, I don't use spells, but for monsters specifically, this is a good time to prep that monster. This is a good time to create, let's say the goblin uh, in the tool. And to give you an idea of what I might do if I'm prepping this monster, just quickly, I'll probably come in here. I'll head over to Google, doing this on the other screen. I'll grab a picture. I'll just copy that picture, by the way, just straight into my clipboard so I can paste from clipboard because that's really cool. And then what I'll do usually is I'll put in my statistics. I use Hero Lab, so I'm putting a Hero Lab portfolio. All right. And usually I'll click that button and I'll fill it out. I won't do it for the sake of it. But see, I do that during my prep. All right. That, in my mind, lets me come to terms with what monsters are going to be in that campaign. And what it allows me to do is to slowly build this up over time. All right. Because if I've put the names in, the linking works, but I don't need all the monsters immediately. So I'm coming in, I'm filling that in as I'm prepping for modules. And it's taken me a year and I've probably done a quarter of the monster manual so far. It's probably going to take me another 4 years to finish off the entire monster manual on my master realm. But the point is that I'm filling it in as I go, but the links are all working from the get-go. And I think that's the important takeaway there. So have a think about that. What mechanics do you need? As again, back at the very first example, if you're sitting at the table, being your DM, what books are you reaching for? What are you constantly looking up? Put those things in here so that the linking for those things works automatically. That will reduce the amount of downtime you have at your table. Once you're happy that you've got all the names in there, fill in the content for the names that you've entered that you know you're going to need straight away, then head back over here to the World Almanac and start building your world. Now, where you start here, that's going to be a very individual decision. Some people might start with a universe, planet, continent, town, road, NPC. I don't know. That's up to you. I'm not even going to try and sort of answer that for you, um, because that's a bigger than butter sort of question. Um, but for me, where to start with this tool is a mechanic decision, and that's why I said start with a mechanics reference because I want the mechanics of the tool to work for me. So start there. It's a great place, and by the time you've gone through and you've done some of the things, you're going to learn a hell of a lot about it. It's a great tool, guys. It's a great tool. It's an absolute massive tool, though. So just keep that in mind that as you're playing around, you're going to learn a hell of a lot. You're gonna spend a hell of a lot of time in here, and just be used to it. Um, there is something else I'd like to sort of just brush over, just because this is a big tool. Um, and one of the things that people struggle with, if we go back and have a look at our Bob, is the amount of information that has been requested of you by default. All right, if you were to come in here and fill out all of this information for Bob, you're gonna be here for a while. All right, and there's people amongst us, myself included, with a little bit of OCD that go, oh yes, I want to fill this in. I want to show what items he's got, what resources. Oh, this is great. When he was born, when he was married, he hasn't died yet, so we'll leave that out. You can enter a lot of information here, and you could be gone for months and months and months. So, one of the really good things about this tool is you can actually come in here and go, all right, I'm going to enter in the information that I want, and then I'm going to stop. I press Control Enter there, by the way, to make a new snippet automatically. It's very important that you learn how to use the shortcut keys. But I'm just typing in a shortcut here that you need to learn. Control Shift, I don't even know what that is, but it's the key next to 1. So Control Shift and the key next to 1. And what it does is this. Remove all empty snippets and sections. Yes, gone. And it's reduced this down to just the information that's entered. So tags are entered automatically, which is why they stayed. The text I've entered remains. All right, and it's not requesting me anything else. So I don't feel the need to fill that in anymore. Very important functionality for those of you guys who want to try and reduce the sort of overwhelmingness of this tool. If you panic and you want it all back, you just come up here to the content pane, click the tools, go quick edit, and go synchronize the structure to match the category definition. All right, and it's all back, and you can start again. All right, so nothing's gone forever. So I just thought that was an important sort of tool to show you, or shortcut key to show you, because that is going to reduce the amount of overwhelming feeling that you're going to have when you first touch down on this tool. So look, guys, it's a massive tool. Um, it is going to take you a bit to get around just how big it is and just the sort of things you can do. I'd highly suggest you go away and watch some of my other videos if this is the first time you're sitting down, because I have basically run through a lot of the different functionality that exists between both this tool and even Hero Lab, working together with the two. And it's going to give you an idea of sort of the things that you can do and some of the ideas you might sort of take away from that. So, but this is where to begin. I think this is a good place to begin in the mechanics section, um, and just get out there and start enjoying it, guys. It's not about being overwhelmed. Start small and then start thinking big. All right. It is the kind of tool though that you're going to start out. This takes me back to year 7. We had a teacher, right? He started by teaching us maths, and we're doing multiplication or division or something. And within half an hour, we're talking about Chinese history. That's just the type of guy he was. He could never stay on track. That is Realmworks. All right. You're going to start off with a Bob. You're going to be creating an NPC for Bob. Before you know it, you've fleshed out Bob's wife, Bob's sister. There's a relationship in trouble between the two. They fought over Christmas dinner. They're living in a shanty that's next to a town. There's a river running next to it. That is what Realmworks allows you to do, is you just keep expanding on ideas. And because it's so quick and efficient to enter those ideas into the tool, and once they're in the tool, they're there forever, you can really sort of build your ideas and float it wherever you want to go. So check it out. If you've got any questions, please ask them in the comments below. If there's any videos you'd like to see, anything else you'd like to ask me to touch on, just feel free to ask, and I'll be sure to get to it for you guys. But that is Realmworks, and hopefully that's where to begin. Have a good night.